Rahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning everyone. Respected speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Joharry Othman, fellow colleagues, professors, associate professors, doctors, brothers and sisters, welcome to today's CPD webinar organized by the Professional Development Unit of the Center for Professional Development, International Islamic University, Malaysia. Before we begin our session, let us seek blessings from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for today's program to run smoothly and benefit us all. I would like to invite everyone to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Good morning again, once everyone. We are truly delightful to welcome you to today's webinar. As education continues to evolve, there is a growing need to improve our assessment methods that look beyond traditional exams and better capture students' real learning skills and growth. Today's session will help us improve the ways of evaluating learning through approaches that support deeper understanding, creativity, and diverse abilities. It's important also to remember that any alternative assessments that we conduct and design must still remain valid and reliable and align with the intended learning outcomes. Only then can our assessments truly reflect what students know and can do. This initiative is also very much in line with IIUM's mission to nurture holistic excellence grounded in strong moral and spiritual values. We hope today's webinar, inshallah, will broaden our perspectives, inspire new practices, and empower us as educators to design assessments that genuinely benefit our students. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to an engaging and insightful session together. Before we begin, allow me the honor to introduce our distinguished speaker for today. I think many of you might know Dr. Joharry bin Othman, Dr. Jo. I send warm regards from Professor Dr. Mira Katiwi, the Director of CPD. She has another workshop today in Kuantan. So usually she will address the morning remarks, inshallah. So allow me to introduce Dr. Jo. Our speaker today has a strong academic foundation in the field of education and psychology. He holds a PhD in educational psychology from the University of Denver in the United States. Prior to that, he earned his Master of Science in Secondary Education and Bachelor of Arts in Mathematics, both from Southern Illinois University, USA. He also completed his diploma in education from the University of Malaya, specializing in mathematics education. Moving on to his professional journey, he is currently serving as a senior lecturer in psychology at RMIT Vietnam University. Before this role, he contributed significantly to the International Islamic University Malaysia, serving as an associate professor at the Kuliah of Education from 2013 to 2023, and as an assistant professor from 1997 to 2013. His career began even earlier as a mathematics teacher at the Science Secondary School in Muar, Johor, which laid the early foundation for his lifelong dedication to education. His publications cover a wide range of areas, including teacher development, educational psychology, language education, and English as secondary language practices, spiritual and character education, student soft skills, and educational assessments. In addition to journal articles, he has also authored and co-authored several books, including the Malaysian Educators Selection Inventory, the METSI, and Student Assessment Handbooks. His research and consultancy includes corporate training and leadership, with projects evaluating the return on investment of Petronas leadership programs and the effectiveness of ILMI training courses for educators and trainers. He has also conducted work in spiritual and military readiness. In the area of higher education and research development, he has contributed to academic performance measurement frameworks and national surveys on research and development practices in Malaysia. His work in language education explores second language learning anxiety and factors affecting ESL communication, particularly among rural secondary school students. And in STEM education, his research focuses on students' conceptual understanding of mathematics to support national STEM initiatives and enhance learning outcomes. These projects and grants clearly reflect his commitment to advancing education, leadership, and student development across multiple domains. With Dr. Joe's extensive experience across teaching, training, psychology, higher education, and international academia, we are truly honored to have Dr. Joe together with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome and please join me in welcoming Dr. Joharry Othman to deliver today's webinar, inshallah.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'll begin with a short dua. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My Lord, expand for me my breast with assurance, and ease for me my task, and untie the knot from my tongue, that they, my audience, may understand my speech and my presentation. Alhamdulillah, it has been a while. Actually, since I left IIUM actually I retired. I retired in 2020, and then I was given the opportunity to serve as a part time, and not part time. I mean, as a contract staff until 2023, and then I joined RMIT in 2023. So anyway, I'm sure there are many of you who has gotten to know me previously. Even there will be some students from Kuantan, Kuliah of Science, they are already associate or even, doctors contributing to the society. So that will be a refresher for them, because some of the things that I'm going to say might reverberate with what the things that I told my students, especially during my stint in UAE. So without further ado, I just wanna give an overview of what will transpire within these 2 hours. When I first saw the title, I'm not really too sure what's the angle, and since I do not want to really uh, worry too much, and then it will become more complicated. So it's either CPD would want me to talk about alternative assessment and their properties of validity or reliability, or you want to have an angle where you look at the traditional assessment and how we can shift it or push it from being merely traditional to alternative. So these are the two angles that I'm looking, and I'm trying to say, can I fit all this together in 2 hours? So I will try my best. Wait, I need to minimize this to see my slide, right? Okay. My slide has been shared, right?
Not yet,
Oh, okay.
because now I shared and replaced. So
Okay, now I'm sharing again. So PowerPoint here.
okay, it's starting to appear.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So
Okay,
will
hold
you
on.
be sharing the whole screen or the presented notes?
Together with the notes. Yeah, but my
Okay.
notes are only a little bit of notes. But you can see the whole screen, right?
We do, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So okay. So this is where I think I still okay. Okay. If you see here on my first slide, you can see that I'm trying to show two situations here. The first is this computerized Cantron, and that was many years ago. We were so used to having standardized exam where our student, even during my time when we were doing MCE or SPM, there are exams that we need to answer a lot of questions, especially MCQs, and it is part of the traditional standardized exam. We have gone a long way from recall, because generally standardized exam with multiple choice questions are asking facts. that we have learned in school for whatever subject matter it is. We have gone a long way from that era to the current moment where we are actually looking at capability. And here I show, I managed to find a appropriate picture. I think these are a group from IIUM engaging in the Sulam program. And that is where the spectrum is right now. From the previous, many years ago, where we are so embroiled into the idea of students getting A, standardized exam, big exam, exam anxiety, teaching to the test, all those issues. Now we are moving forward. If I were to just to read my notes here, so if you all are here, it's because all of us know a secret. A standardized test can measure recall, but it rarely measures capability. So that's the starting point that I want to emphasize, so that all of us, because I'm assuming, and I think it's true, that all of us that are here right now, we are all, educators, we are all lecturers. Doesn't matter which faculty you're from, which kuliah. And definitely when we talk about standard tests that measure recall, and then we're going to the current situation where we are attempting to measure capability, to measure the true worth of a student, but it always almost never will measure soul. Because I think that the angle that CPD has mentioned in our emails together, that they would like also want to have a slight flavor of you know Islamization and so on. So I don't think we are at the stage where we can measure soul, even though we will try our best, the closest way to measure the representation of the soul. In other words, our behavior and our emotions. As we approach the end of 2025, the era of fill in the blanks or fill in the bubble is collapsing under the weight of generative AI. And this is definitely something for for a different webinar: how AI impact assessment and teaching, and a global demand for human-centric skills. That would be the focus of my presentation. But there is a danger, actually, because we are looking at two extreme spectrum. If we replace tests with projects, merely projects, because that's the bandwagon that our educators or our teachers are going into, right? Everything must be done like as a project, as a group work. If only we look at how it is done, quote unquote fun, interesting project, there could be a possibility of those things not having validity. So we need to be careful here. Even though it is the way, even though that's the path, but we have to be very careful, especially for those of us who really want to know more about assessment. We are not liberating students just via these projects. We might even be neglecting them. So I'm calling all of us, my colleagues, my dear colleagues from IIUM, let us explore how we can try to make alternative assessment rigorous. That's the key word here. And maybe sacred, which is our niche, right? Our niche. If all of us are able to construct or to build or to adapt any assessment by it having a spiritual, I wouldn't say a spiritual element or spiritual flavor, but if you can make it sacred, that's the word I'm using, then I think we'll be at the forefront of dynamic and revolutionary landscape of assessment, especially in Malaysian context. Okay, just a little bit of history here. The word assess is a Latin, come from a Latin word which says assidia. It is meaning it is to sit beside, to sit beside. To assess is to sit beside. So let us all get this idea into our mind, that we are here teaching our students not to judge them from above, not to judge them from above, but to sit beside them as learner and witness their growth. So that's my introduction, and I'm opening up for my full slide again. Yep. Then my second slide. Now, see, I'm not seeing all the other participants right now. How many right now do you have, Brother Ashraf?
105.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm happy. It has been a long one since I did what do you call it? The training in IIU, BTMC and all those things. So I miss those moments, face to face with a large crowd, 70, 80 of you. But anyway, again, other than my introduction, I'm giving you this slide. The icebreaker, you guys will have to answer me some deeply provoking questions in the context of Malaysian assessment scenario. If you say yes, please put up your please put up thumbs up. Has the abolishment of PT3 make students increasingly lazy? That's a question. Because I was around when the issue came up, and there's both sides of the aisle in terms of some are agreeing to this and some are not. So I'm not sure currently what's going on in the school system. Even though I'm putting some question relevant to the school system, it will impact or affect all of us in the university. You know why? Because first year students coming from the schools, and then once they enter university, they might have certain mindset, right? They expect us to spoon feed them. They expect us to teach to the test so that they can score A. So these are some of the issues that I think are still lingering, in Malaysia. The second question, has the introduction of pentaksiran bilik darjah make teachers more stressed? I know all of you are not secondary school teachers, but who knows, you might be having family members or even your spouses that are teachers. Are they still stressed out? Hopefully, my assumption is after many years, hopefully the Ministry of Education has managed to overcome all the issues and all the hiccups, either in PBD, school-based assessment and so on. So these are some of the, I think, valid questions to even discuss. And especially like in Kuliah of Education, we are training teachers. So we want to make sure our teachers, the ones that we are training in our Kuliah, would really understand, all the fine issues that revolve around this matter. The third question that is a little bit more higher up, not in schools, this is particularly for all of us. Has salami slicing indirectly affected quality and integrity of Malaysian academia? I'm asking real questions here. So I don't know what's your view. And this has affected, some of us, I wouldn't say majority, but some of us, where I hope all of us understand what salami slicing is, right? Where you have originally one good research project or one good research topic, and then you slice it up and break it into smaller pieces until to the point that the smaller pieces is mediocre. Why? I think you know the answer. All of us want publish. We are required to publish. If not, it's either publish or perish. So these are still issues, serious issues. You can't put this under the carpet. It is there. For your information, my daughter is also an academic in UiTM. Yeah, she made the decision. I think she made the right decision. She left UiTM. There's a lot of opposition, and her view is like, we want excellent, but not going through all this. Sorry to say the word, all this nonsense. And because of her integrity, she left. And I said, Aisha, is it okay? She said, okay, I'm happy with my decision. Now she freelance. Now she's being invited by major universities to give a talk. So in other words, sometimes we need, dear brothers and sisters, we need to make a stand. And if we make a stand collectively, we are stronger, not individually. So I hope you see, I mean, I do not want to go into some sensitive stuff here, but number 3 is a question smack to all of us who are pressured, who are worried about publishing. Okay, number 4. Are there cases of lecturer burnout locally in our university in pursuit to be super lecturer? So what's the definition of a super lecturer? You want to be the best in all areas. You want to be the best in teacher. You want to be the best in social commitment. You want to be the best in research. And to the extent that it burns you out. And once a lecturer is burnt out, could you imagine the impact on the students in classes? Some lecturers don't attend classes. Some lecturers have the tendency to skip classes, to cancel classes for whatever reasons that all of us would understand. So after just sharing you with this for for real questions that only you can answer, there is no right or wrong answer here. Let us reflect. If any assessment system, be it Myra, be it our yearly KPIs, if it creates a culture where lecturers are too worried or too stressed, which subsequently will impact their mental health because they are worried to teach or forced to cheat to survive, that system then lacks what we call now positive consequential validity. Even despite the university rises in local global ranking. I'm trying to control myself here, Brother Ashraf, because I'm a little bit emotional. But then the question fall back to you. You as the individual educator, right? Lecturer, you have to decide. You have to decide what's the right way for you. Okay. Just for those who are not really into assessment, consequential validity means what's the social consequences? What's the social consequences of all these tests, of all the exams, of all this assessment? Does it make the student that takes it a better person? Does it make the student that go through the project a better Muslim? Or merely just good test takers? Getting A's or 90%, is that all? So when we want to look at the prism of spirituality and Islamization, we need to go beyond that. We have to really relook at all our assessment because we can't totally follow whatever in the West, right? We need to have our own flavor, our own niche, and our own perspective. Okay. So what's the state of affairs now? As we navigate the current issues in assessment, we must begin by setting a sacred intention. In other words, a sincere intention to transform evaluation from a mechanism of judgment into a vehicle of empowerment. The future landscape demands that we move beyond traditional psychometrics. We can talk hours on end about psychometrics, but it has to be a little bit more than just the traditional psychometrics, which often fail to capture human complexity. If we only focus on standardized exam or just, multiple choices, and instead we must embrace alternative tasks that reflect real-world capabilities. This shift requires a deep commitment to consequential validity that as mentioned just now, ensuring that our instruments positively impact life. How do we know that? We have to really, stop, focus, and ponder. While not forgetting, simultaneously leveraging AI. This is another big issue, even in RMIT, as a partner to calibrate our judgment and mitigate bias. Ultimately, by integrating these elements, we progressively elevate assessment to a spiritual dimension, a holistic mirror. In other words, literature research also have add credence to it that a holistic assessment will mirror, not just measure, will mirror the status quo of the person outside and inside. So it needs to be that which does not merely categorize individuals, but reveals their full potential and foster profound self-awareness and ihsan. So that's the ultimate goal, right? So that's the current state of affairs. So that's my introduction. It's about 20 minutes. Now let us go proper into it. Just a quote. You do not make a plant grow by measuring it, because the keyword here is measure. Assessment is all about measure, even though measurement is a small part of assessment, but we grow plants by tending to the soil. So, I mean, I, 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 I wouldn't want to say who quote this because it's like a combination of some statements that you can find, but I think I like it, so I'm using it. Okay, what's the learning outcome for this webinar? I hope I have enough time to finish it. Checking and redefining validity and reliability on several established alternative assessment instruments. So in other words, I will share with you maybe 4 or 5 established alternative assessment, which is currently being used in Malaysia. And then we can comment in terms of its strengths and in terms of weaknesses, especially reliability and validity. See, it's related, identifying the common or popular traditional assessment. Then we look at traditional assessment, the famous assessment that we have been so used to. And then I'm trying to give you some alternative views, like, a new perspective of how we can make the traditional assessment go to the realm of alternative assessment. I mean, this is just my views. It might not be the best, but this is what I'm going to share later on. And then we look at the whole thing once we put it together, comparing and contrasting traditional and alternative. Then finally, my attempt to integrate holistic and spiritual perspective to view assessment as a tool for self-knowledge and truth-telling rather than just judgment. Okay. What are the current assessment instruments? This is the 5 that I'm sharing. I hope it's relevant. KBAT, I think that is being used or commonly used in schools. I'm not sure if we use it in the university, but I'm just putting one example there to show that what's there in the Malaysian context. Then currently we have this gamified e-portfolio. The latest research shows that it's no longer portfolio, it's process folio. It's process folio. So we need to think around that. And then we have these video vlogs, reflections that is being used. I'm not sure in Kuliah of Education. I mean, I've left the IUM for already three years. I don't know whether all these are being used in other faculty or other kuliah. The other one is a very specific group work which is called mushawara approach. You can look all the citation and the literature on this. And then finally, the Service Learning Malaysia, which is under Sulam. Honestly, to tell you, I I was kind of ignorant about Sulam. I do not know, but after looking at the literature, yeah, there is Sulam going on in other universities like UKM, and so on. And I'm sure UIA also is involved in it. I don't know what word they use, but that's under Sulam, which is Service Learning Malaysia. So these are the alternative. We'll be looking at the pro and cons, and then the current traditional assessment. The current traditional assessment, I'm sure all of us will relate to this. The MCQ, the true and false or matching, the time essays, the short answer fill in blanks, and the standardized or norm reference test. I recall when I'm teaching the course testing and measurement in IIUM, these are the topics under traditional assessment that I often explain or describe to my students, and how to build those items, and also some alternative instruments that was floating around 10 years ago when I was teaching this course. So I will go one by one, but I will start with alternative assessment. I think just a brief overview of what it is all about. What are the pros in terms of psychometric properties? I think it has a high construct validity. Why? Because it isolates thinking from language. So a student with poor English can still demonstrate a perfect cause-effect relationship using one of the maps, because I think they have many maps. So they can use multi-flow map to describe what they have learned. In other words, what they have been thinking based on what they have learned in class. So that can demonstrate perfect cause and effect relationship using a multi-flow map. It removes the language barrier as a validity threat. Another pro or positive of I think it has a high iterator reliability, because there are only 8 specific maps with specific rules. Teachers across Malaysia can grade them consistently. A circle map looks the same in Sabah as it does in Selangor, therefore enhancing its reliability. For those of you who have used iThink, right? What's the limitation here? It has this mechanistic validity threat. Students can memorize or often memorize which map to use without actually engaging in deep thinking. They just memorize, this map is for this question, this map is for this question. They treat it as a fill in the blank exercise, turning a K-BAT tool into a lower order rote task. So this one you have to be very careful. So I'm sure those of us who are very experienced in all this, you would also agree or can see the potential pitfalls of such an alternative assessment that is commonly used in Malaysian schools. I do not know whether it's used in university, but if you do, then you have to be very conscious of this limitation. So there is, I think, quite briefly, not as detailed. Next, we have gamified e-portfolio. Gamified e-portfolio, we have high criterion reference validity. The small pieces of task or the small tasks that we have achieved, we will get badges, example. And then these badges are usually graded as pass-fail based on some specific evidence. And this remove the ambiguity of all these B, C grades. You either have the competency or you do not have the competency. And then this portfolio, gamified portfolio, it has longitudinal reliability. It tracks performance over time. A single bad day doesn't ruin the grade, making the data more reliable than a snapshot final exam. And I'm into this actually. You can gain your badges, from level 1, level 2, level 3, just like you play in a game, right? And then based on all these badges, you already have shown evidence that you are able to demonstrate all those skills that you have gotten over time. But what is the limitation? The limitation is validity threat, which is fragmentation, batch collecting itself. Student may focus on earning a small badge, meaning level 1, task 1. They got the badge without understanding how they connect to the bigger picture. If they fail to go and proceed and finish all the badges, let's say they have 7 badges, they only managed to do 3 or 4, they wouldn't see the big picture, the whole. So this phrase is usually quoted in education, or even in the, you can hear this phrase, the sum of the parts does not always equal to the whole. So if you only have the first 3 badge, you wouldn't know what's the conclusion of those other badges at the higher level. Then another limitation would be reliability of evidence. If the badge is awarded automatically by a system, not by humans, completing a module, it may measure merely attendance rather than competence. So that's another another danger. And that is why I just want to share with you. I'm teaching a course, but this course is being monitored by colleagues in Melbourne. so we have my campus is in Hanoi, another colleague is in Saigon. We're teaching the same course, and then another colleague in Melbourne. So for this semester, this colleague in Melbourne, which is the course coordinator, he changed the assessment. He changed the assessment, making it a little bit more tough. The reason being, after discussing with him, the 3 of us, myself in Hanoi, my colleague in Saigon, and another and this guy, this professor in Melbourne, he says we cannot do podcast. And then I say why? Because if we were just to hear podcast, we wouldn't know if there's a real person. Correct? So he says, I am changing my assessment this semester. I want them to do a 5-minute PowerPoint presentation with their face. And my class is only about 15. I'm fine. But my colleague in Saigon, she has like 60 students wanting, and she will have to grade the videos. So that's another validity threat there. So in other words, fragmentation always occurs. The move now is, how can we be sure that's not AI? The latest AI now, they can even get your video, right? And your sound, how you sound actually when you're talking. Whoa, that's scary, right? So anyway, that's another topic. So that's gamified e-portfolio. Video. Yeah. Video vlog. What's the positive? It has high content validity. It forces synthesis. To speak for 3 minutes, a student must understand the material well enough to simplify it, meaning to compress it, to summarize. It minimizes rote memorization, which is a validity threat. And then another plus for video vlog is reliability. It provides a biometric proof of identity. Unlike a written assignment, which could be bot or AI generated, the video shows who is speaking. Though the script could be AI made, so that would be another risk, which we have to really look at it. And yet the delivery is human. So the script, that's, at least that's not as bad as like totally we do not know who's doing everything. The limitation of video vlogs. Again, construct irrelevance, which is a validity threat. The beauty bias. A student with a better camera, a better lighting, a more physical attractiveness, I wouldn't say often, sometimes scores higher than a student with better content, but poor production value. So here we are looking at rural versus urban divide. Sometimes those students who are like staying in the town and the cities, they might have slight advantage in this sense. Another limitation is reliability issues. Grading videos causes high rater fatigue. A lecturer grading the 50th video is likely less reliable or less attentive when grading the first video. Okay, next. Musyawarah group or approach. What's the positive? It has a high construct validity, which is a social. It accurately measures the soft skills, which is negotiation or adab, emotional intelligence, etc., which written tests completely miss. It aligns perfectly with the falsafah pendidikan kebahasaan. And then it has consequential validity. In other words, it has social consequences. This process of musyawarah, if it is done well, if it is done correctly, it promotes social cohesion. The washback effect is that students actually become better citizens. I think this has proven in some research, and not just merely better test takers. And I think UIA also has a lot of this with the USRA group and so on. And I think we should not just continue, but we should uplift and make it better, or even replace some of those assessments that we find out based on our data that is not really like, helping the students become more spiritually knowledgeable and having, having positive evidence of learning the learning outcome. So before I left UAE, I was assigned to become the leader of some of the USRA projects. Right, we went to the mosque, we went to the school, and I think it works. The students are really engaged, and they are not really stressed out doing the group project in terms of community service. And I think that I've forgotten who's the doctor, Dr. Zainal, right? That is leading that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sejahtera. Yeah. So I'm for that. It's just that some parties or some groups don't see the value of that. So it's okay. Sometimes it's not easy to change people's perception. Some lecturers or some quarters say, no, we want to have the traditional exam. We want to have essay. We want to have essay. So like, okay, you want to have essay, but you do not see, all the evidences pointing to the positiveness of all these group projects. Okay, anyway, what's the limitation? Even though it has good positive, it has also some limitation. It has low inter-rater reliability. Hold on. I'm trying to check if it seems that my can I pause for a while? I want to check if my electricity is. Hold on. I'm not sure if my laptop is charging or not.
Okay.
I thought it's charging. Okay, hold on. Okay, let us continue. So musyawarah has a low inter-rater reliability. It is very difficult for two lecturers to grade a dynamic discussion exactly the same way. And then there's this halo effect where a charismatic student gets a better grade regardless of content. So that could be a threat. And hopefully, once the raters are all aware of all these potential issues, I think that would solve the problem. And then the individual validity threat, it suffers from the hitchhiker effect. It is hard to validate if the consensus of the group, whatever their submission is, was truly shared among themselves, or if there's one dominant student or one dominant leader that could I use the word quote unquote force or influence the group into agreement and then submit, and then everybody gets the higher marks. So that could be some issues there, but there are ways to control for that. Okay, and then finally, Sulam, highest ecological validity. The assessment is the real world. If a student project successfully helps a village entrepreneur increase sales for whatever project that you have, the validity of their business skills is undeniable. To me, either the musyawarah, the sulam, that's the way to go actually. Face validity. Students perceive the task as meaningful because they know that they are learning. They know they are out and about in the real world, in the village, in the kampong, in the surau, in the schools. It is meaningful and it's fair, increasing motivation and reducing cheating. So that's definitely positive from my side. I will go for sulam. But again, for anything, there will be always plus and minus. Low standardization, reliability threat. Every community project is different. So one group get this kampong A, another group got this kampong B. So how do we know which one is more challenging? It's out of our control, right? So it is by chance or by random. So the student A might have an easy community partner. Student B might have a difficult community partner, which always complain and saying the students are not cooperative and so on. So comparing their grades statistically is unreliable because the variables are uncontrolled. But it's okay as long as we highlight that, right? Rater drift. Oh, wait, based on that, something came up to me. Let's say the project is 3 months. You can just switch, right? Once you switch the group, everybody is getting experience with kampung A, kampung B, and then finally everything goes together. So we humans, we can always find solution to the threats. There always way. Don't say no way. But I've seen some stuff when I'm doing my training, they will say, Dr. Joe, no way, no way. We have hundred of students, and then I was like, wow, 100 of students, you cannot do it. Then I provoked back. I said, sir, doctor, do not say no until you try. Have you tried? For sure, he hasn't tried. Come back to me after you have tried, and you say, I've tried for 1 semester. It was chaos. Then I say, okay, abandon it. Don't use it. It's not for you. So sometimes, we have to really share or talk to our colleagues. They are like, sorry to say, some of us are the naysayers. Some, maybe a few. And the naysayers sometimes, unfortunately, they are those who have the power. So to impress on them, you have to show evidence. Okay. Rater drift. Lecturers often grade on effort, on heart, rather than the actual academic outcome. Therefore, inflating grades, the leniency error. Yeah, I used to have that also, I think, and I'll try consciously not to fall trap to this leniency error, like, oh, pity, oh, see, that's the danger when you are marking and you know the person. You cannot do that. When you are marking, you should not know who you are marking. Because in class, I'm being truthful here, there'll be 1 or 2 close to you. So then you are marking, right? And then you know that student not giving good answers. But because you know your heart, oh, this, I wouldn't say your pet student. But if yeah, for sure, every class you will have 1 or 2 students who are, when I say close, like, they always come to you, they always ask you, they do consultation with you. Then when you're marking, it's her. But then she's not answering well. But still a part of you say, alah, tambah lagi 2 lah. So what's that? So that is why in assessment, when you are marking, you should not know who is the student. Just use the metric number. Then that's safe. Okay. So that's rated drift. Okay. Overall, what's the general limitation? I'm looking at my time. Okay. What's the general limitation of all 5 alternative assessment instruments above that I've mentioned? Number 1, putting it all together. All alternative assessment, except maybe I think, because I think is in the schools, rely heavily on professional judgment. In Malaysia, where class sizes can be large, I know, even my classes sometimes 50 students. Oh my God. You just imagine 50 students. How are you going to make them pay attention? The first thing is pay attention. They must sit and look at you and watch you. If they are looking around, definitely they are not going to pay attention. Don't talk about assessment. Teachers often lack the time to calibrate their judgment. When I say calibrate their judgment, after the exam, you have a meeting, you come out with a calibration, or cross marking to make sure everyone is on the same page when we are marking the various classes. If not, we'll end up with one class having a lot of A's, another class having a lot of B's, another class having a lot of failures. So the subjectivity tax, I call it subjectivity tax, which is the reliability cost. It affects reliability when we have large classes. The digital divide, again, I think this is a repetition. Equity and validity threat. For instruments like Vlog and ePortfolio, there is a significant threat of instrument bias. Again, as I mentioned earlier, students in urban centers, Klang Valley, with 5G MacBooks have an unfair advantage over B40 students in rural areas, interior of Sarawak, for example, who rely on older data limited devices. The assessment inadvertently measures wealth rather than ability. So how do we confront that, right? How do we reduce this digital divide? I mean, it might not only be us, right? It might be the schools or the faculties or even the university or even the government that should come in and aid us to make sure that our assessment are as fair and as reliable as it can be, even though we know there are always limitations. We can't have a perfect test. And that is why one of the cardinal rule of assessment, no one assessment fits all. I keep on emphasizing. I'm sure there are the participants here who are my students, especially in Kuantan, because they are already teaching at IUM. No one assessment fits all. Remember, I used to say that in one of our classes many years ago. Um, the third one, the general limitation, the Gen AI threat. While these were designed to stop plagiarism, generative AI, the latest models, can now generate, I think, maps, can now generate videos and audios, write scripts for vlogs, and design Sulam proposal. If the assessment does not include a synchronous defense, example of a synchronous defense, oral, if you have a Sulam project and then you say, okay, at the end we want you to come up with a 3-minute summary or whatever video or live video, that would be great. Then students cannot cheat. we give them no way to cheat. So if we do not do that, the validity is compromised. In other words, they are happy, they have this project, they don't have to do the exam like, essay and multiple choice, but then they have all these computer generated responses. And finally, number 4, time intensity. Yeah, that's always the thing that I will always get this question. But alternative assessment takes a long time. Yeah, it takes a long time. Traditional MCQ tests are sufficient or efficient, but Sulam and portfolios require massive amount of time to grade. This leads to assessment fatigue for educators, which statistically lowers the accuracy of their grading over time. Yeah, I do not have a definitive answer to this because I use also to mark e-portfolio. I used to use assessment, and my assessment was 5-6 years ago in IUM, e-portfolio. You can ask my colleagues in College of Education, Joe use e-portfolio. Yeah, but then when I want to mark, it's a headache. But it is good because students will put in all their evidences of learning, be it reading, essay, presentation, videos, over time, over 13 weeks or 14 weeks, and it's there. It's captured. And I keep on saying to my students, once you have this e-portfolio, it can become part of your resume, part of your CV. When you go and interview for future jobs, you don't have to show piles and piles of folders. You just show, can I share, sir, my e-portfolio? You just plug in, a link, let the interview panel see the whole project. Then they'll be impressed because in e-portfolio, you have highlight, you have the best, the best evidence, you have showcase, and so on. So these are an overview of the general limitation of alternative assessment as it is now, and those assessments are being used currently in Malaysia. Just a sample, just five. I cannot provide much more than that, and I think that is sufficient to start us thinking of the issues and realizing that there are things that we have to be careful, especially. I'm not saying we have to solve all these problems or all these issues, but to just keep you updated or keep you abreast that these issues exist. And as a lecturer that is close, your heart is close to the students, you care for the students, you want the student to become a holistic graduate, then you need to find ways to make improvement, to make changes within your capability and within your authority, right? If you are a head of department, for sure you can do something to improve or to upgrade the assessment battery, the battery of tests that you have in your department. If you, I don't know if there's deans here. If you are the dean, you can assign someone who are so into assessment and let them review the whole battery of assessment that is currently being used in your kuliah. So these are the things. These are the things that we can make. I wouldn't say a gigantic leap forward, but to always be in the forefront. Okay, slide pause here. Now let us reflect. Sometimes you are so into what's happening in the West, what's the research that's showing us in the West. I'm just sharing this because this is sometimes when I look at this ayat, when I look at this ayat, especially me, someone who are in mathematics and someone who are in measurement, I was like, oh my God, our creator also talks about measurement, about evaluation, about the test, the test. Surah Al-Mulk, this one, I would say it is related, like grading to excellence. In other words, Allah wants to grade us because our life is merely a test, right? Surah Ar-Rahman, the grades or the grading or the weight must be true. And who else other than our creator, right? His grading is non-deniable. It's the truth. And then finally, Surah Al-Mutaffifin, short-changing students, right? In terms of businesses, in a way, we are also, quote unquote, in the business of educating our students. Never ever short-change them. And if you do that, it's a spiritual failure. Please know that. I'm very sensitive about this. The problem with me in RMIT, I'm whispering. It's not easy to say all these things to Vietnamese students. See, that's my challenge. But I tried, and some of them really interested in Islam. I pray to God there will be one or two who will revert. Okay, anyway, we go back now to the traditional. We have seen the pro and cons of the alternative. There is some alternative that is in use in Malaysia. Now we look at the traditional. When I say traditional, MCQ. Everybody, all of us know MCQ from our primary school or even kindergarten. The absolute king of traditional assessment. What's the philosophy? It values conversion. It assumes one single correct truth, and it measures the student ability to identify it among falsehood. That's it. It's either you get it right or you get it wrong. No two way about it. You cannot argue. Why it dominates? Because of efficiency. I would agree, yeah, because I've been in this field for that long. Alternative assessment mostly are time consuming, resource. You have to have a lot of resource. You have to have time. You have to have money. You have to have the people. You have to contact, other institution or other NGOs or whatever. So that is But if you notice, the hard work is only one time. Just like the USRA, right? Once you contact the school, one time. The hard work is just one time. Then you tell them the scenario, they tell them the activity, you tell them what's the agenda. Then they agree. Then we just send our student. So the teachers will do the rest. So in other words, there's always pro and con. So why MCQ dominates is about efficiency. It's example, an optical scanner like the Scantron. Now the LMS can do it like Canvas and Blackboard. They can grade about 1,000 MCQ exam papers in seconds. So that's why it is still, in a way, it is still dominant. Yep, it is still dominant. It's not easy to just take it out. Okay. I don't know. Well, yeah. I mean, UIA have our own LMS system. Okay. I forgot I forgot the name. What's the LMS system?
iTalim.
iTalim. Yeah, iTalim. Sorry, iTalim. RMIT uses Canvas. I did I did present some I did present some topic for my kuliah of education while I'm in RMIT, and I was trying to say, look at Canvas to learn. I mean, what are the things that Canvas has to offer that maybe iTalim has not able to do? Maybe you can just incorporate or suggest to the university authority to take that features, that interesting features that iTalim might not have or might have some weaknesses, then improve. I'm not saying do not use iTalim. It's just like make it stronger. Okay. True and false. What's the limitation of true and false? True and false items suffer from a 50% guessing factor. A student with zero knowledge has a coin flip chance of being right. So that's the limitation. So that is why I don't know. Some of us like to do true and false, but some having understand this limitation, you might want to stay away from true and false, which drastically lowers the reliability of an instrument unless the test is very long. If the test is very long, then it's okay to use true and false. Eventually, it will capture whatever evidence or understanding that the knowledge that the students have. So true and false. We will see how we can change true and false to a slightly going to the spectrum of from traditional to alternative. I think that will be interesting. Yeah, this is another one. Other than MCQ is at this one end. Then we have this essay at another end. The philosophy of essay or time essay, it measures fluency and memory. Unlike the real world writing, which involve editing, peer review, and research, the essay as it is now used in schools, for example, large hall, 100 student, one course, 2 hours, 7 question, and sometimes 7 question, answer 5. I always say that because in assessment, it's not recommended to have 5 answer 7. You should just say answer all. So this instrument measure how well a student can retrieve information and structure it under stress because it's time. So that's the philosophy, and in it there is some limitation of essays, right? For your information, Dr. Ashraf, some faculties or all faculties still use essay in IUM?
Yes, we do. Even in kuliah allied health, yeah.
Okay. For your information, I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying RMIT has moved away from essay many years ago. So now in my faculty or even in my department, every courses have only 3 assessment. It's either formative assessment, it could be multiple choice or short answer. Then we have a project, and then we have another one. There's in other words, there's no face-to-face invigilated exam. It's all online. Okay. Because they don't see the pros of essays to be done as it was in large halls. They don't see the need, and that's where they come up with this all the hybrid arrangement and so on. Okay, anyway, short and answer. The validity issue. These are highly susceptible to syntax guessing. A student might guess the word based on grammar clues rather than the actual content. You know, fill in the blank, there's a paragraph, there's like 7 blank, and then based on the grammar, on the syntax guessing, they know, oh, this answer is for, not the. Oh, this answer is welcome, not determined, because of the way the sentence flow. They strictly measure recall, pulling out from memory, rather than recognition, identifying the right option. So these are some of the issues with short answer, and fill in the blank. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at my time. I think I'm okay. I'm progressing well. And finally, the traditional ones. Wait, hold on. Okay. Standardized or norm reference. The format, a massive aggregate of MCQ, like SPM lah, SPM, right? A massive aggregate of MCQ and short answer given to a large population. The philosophy, this instrument is designed to sort out students, not necessary to measure mastery. It places students on the bell curve. This again, another big issue. Even in UIE, it's a big issue still. The normal curve. Are you grading to the curve and whatnot? The goal of this instrument is to tell you student A is in the 90th percentile. Oh, great. Student A is good. In other words, he's at the top 10. 90% of the group that is in is below him. So it answers the question, who recalls or memorizes facts and events better than the other students? And that's it. So what's the what do you call it? What's the inherent positive personal development of skills that you can get if you only know that you are better than Ahmad on your left and you're better than Aisha to your right. So it's just that we need more than that. Okay. So I think can we pause a few minutes, Dr. Ashraf? Like 1 minute.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So while we pause, for some of you to go to to the toilet, quotes to ponder. Yeah, just quotes ponder. I also will pause for a while. See you in 1 minute.
Okay. Yeah, we'll break. So we'll have a break for 1 minute. Now 8 past 10. So inshallah we'll continue 10 past 10. If you have any questions, please you may do so. Post it in the chat box.
It's not what. Yeah, it's not 1 minute. It's 3 minutes. Okay, good. Actually,
You need to share back because I replaced
oh,
your screen just now. Yeah.
okay. Hold on, no problem. Because yeah, wait. Where's my sharing? Because just to share with you guys. You got it?
It's a
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because just to share with the audience, it's already winter. Winter is in, so it's kind of cold. So my nose is a little bit runny.
Is
It's
there
I think
flood in Vietnam, Dr. Joe?
I beg your pardon.
Any flood cases in Vietnam? Or
Oh, flood.
is there...
No flood. No flood. Yeah, no flood. Maybe recently there was, but not because I know flooding is now in Malaysia, right? For
Yeah.
some states, yeah. It's winter now. It's about 15 degrees. Enjoy the winter actually, because summer in Hanoi is wow, it's crazy. It's 40 plus. Okay, can I continue?
Yep, please.
Okay, welcome back. I'm sorry, I have to go and get some tissues. Just a quote that I think is interesting and is related also. Gold is tested with fire, the believer is tested with trials. Here again, the word is test by Ali, right? Sayyidina Ali. Assess yourself before you are assessed and weigh your deeds before they are weighed for you. That is Sayyidina Umar. And then knowledge without action is insanity, and action without knowledge is vanity. Know that the knowledge which does not remove you from sins today will not remove you from the punishment of hellfire tomorrow, by Imam Al-Ghazali. So okay, so some of the food for thought for all of us, including myself. I always have to strive, and to be sure that whatever we are doing, even though I'm in a foreign country, in a non-Muslim country, actually it's a communist country, we survive. We have one mosque in Hanoi, one mosque, and our imam is Champa, so he can speak Malay, very fluent in Arabic. Friday Friday prayer is in, Friday khutbah is in Arabic.
Oh, mashallah.
Yep. And we have a lot. We have about 300 Muslim in Hanoi. Okay, anyway, let me get back. Okay. Now, how do we go about okay, this is my suggestion. And I mean I'm for the suggestion because I've looked at several and I choose. The MCQ we could, if we are sure enough, if you are confident enough, we are bold enough, we have the power, we can influence top people, your bosses, your faculty. From MCQ, why not go to what we call a two-stage collaborative exam? This is interesting. I think if I'm back in IUM, I'm gonna do this. What's the evidence says? Research by Nobel laureate Carl Wyman and recent studies by Gilly and Clarken 2024 shows that when students retake, the keyword here, retake an exam in groups immediately after the individual attempt, retention rates double. It transformed the MCQ from a measurement tool into a learning event. Okay, it's exciting, right, Dr. Ashraf? Once they take an MCQ, let's say you take yourself, right? Let's say 20 questions. After 10 minutes of break, you finish, you submit, then you'll be paired or you'll be sitting in a trio, discuss each of this question again. Cool, yeah? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I have the power, if I'm the dean, I'll go for this. The philosophy, it values convergence again. It assumes there is one single correct truth and measures the student ability to identify it among falsehood. That was the philosophy of the original MCQ. But now, the student take an MCQ individually for 30 minutes. How many questions? Doesn't matter. 20 questions, 15 questions. They turn it in. We will mark it. Then they form a groups of 4. They are given the same exam, but this time they must agree on the answer.
So what is the assessment in the second part?
The assessment in the second part, we'll see what's their argument. They will have to write something. They will have to show evidence why they agree. Let's say, yeah, what's Majidina? Any comment, Majidina? I cannot hear you.
Maybe it's accidental. Yeah.
Oh, okay. In other words, let's say all 4 of us, 3 got it wrong, right? 3 might got it wrong. Only 1 person might get it right. That 1 person have to show evidence to the other 3 why those answers are wrong in the first place. In other words, there's a discussion there. To get that point, student A must convince student B why answer is correct. This requires articulation, logic, and peer teaching. So in other words, there will be some 1 paragraph statement coming from the group.
This one for summative or formative, Doctor?
It will become a formative. Originally summative. It will become formative once you have that discussion. I mean, okay. I'm not pushing on anyone, right? But it is worth a try, or it is worth like just do it for one small class for one semester and see what happens.
Mm.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I have to go forward, right? It's
Mm.
already 9:16. I'm only at my 20-second slide. I think I have about 40 slides. Okay. Next one. True and false. How do we shift it to become alternative or somewhat alternative? Not 100%, but somewhat. In other words, we are pushing aside the traditional philosophy and way, and we go for what it is called fix the false. Fix the false. We don't say true and false. We now say fix the false. Fix the false. I'm sure you already get the idea. If someone answer fix the false, meaning answer false, and the false is wrong, then you must, you must blot out the false and say what is the truth. The evidence. Research on elaborative interrogation suggests that simply identifying a fact is weak neural encoding. Just identifying a fact is not enough. Correcting a misconception creates a stronger memory trace. This removes the lucky guess threat. I told you, I mean, I'm not comfortable with true and false because in any, let's say 10 true and false item, student might get 4 right, 5 right, even without them knowing the answer, even without them knowing the reason. We want more than that, right? We have a chance to make assessment better for us. We are not dictating this for any other people, for any other universities, for any other kuliah. It's for our student, and our student will love it. I know. The transformation. Whenever the instruction will change from mark true or false to the instruction. If the statement is true, write true. If the statement is false, you must cross out the incorrect part and rewrite to make it true. In other words, when it is false, let's say, all birds are mammal. True and false. All birds are mammal. False, right? You slash the all birds are mammal. Birds are not categorized. I mean, sorry. All lizards are mammal. Then you cross the word all lizards are mammal. Because lizards are not in the category of mammals, but reptiles. Can you see that word? It become better. Students will love it. They are not really relying on memory. They will need to know why it is false. All swans are white. All swans are white. This is a tricky question. Again, tricky question I will tell later. All swans are white. Most students will say true, right? But actually it's false. So you have to cross out the all swans are white. In other words, you are saying false, right? Support with your true answer. There is a black swan that was only recently discovered existing in the Arctic or Antarctic. So if you have taught them well, they will know that. So in other words, these are example. The Emancipation Proclamation ended slavery in all US states. Is it true and false? So you have to cross out the whole statement and then you say false. Gets credit without knowing why. Yep, false. The answer is false. But what is the latest one that I suggesting? You give the correct answer. The student marks false, crosses out all states and write, it ended slavery only in the rebellious Confederate states, not the border states. So in other words, we have transformed true or false item to become slightly towards alternative, and it is formative. Finally, it can become formative. And let's say if I were to enclose or tie up MCQ and true false, then before they change that, let them do the true false on their own, and then they can come in groups, and this group will discuss what is actually the truth, what is actually the false. Then any one of those in the member of the 3 people or 3 students, they will write the correct one. And in that discussion, they will learn better and retention will be better. So that's number 2.
There's some, Dr. Jo, there's
Question?
some comments with regards to the two
Okay.
scenarios.
Okay, go ahead.
Said Musa Al-Habshi mentioned two-stage is excellent for MCQs on a mini case scenario. The other comment from Azrul Shahriz mentioned, I think this approach, the two-stage, better used in continuous assessment because in our system, it takes extra commitment to use formative assessment, and that commitment is not easily adapted unless it gave points in APAR or MIRA. So these are the...
Okay. Noted. Thank you very much for the comments. I would accept those comments because you know better in your scenario because I used to be part of you guys, but now I'm outside. It has been 3, 4 years I'm out of UAE, so I wouldn't know the latest requirements or the latest changes. So I would totally agree as long as my aim here in this webinar is just to show you some awareness or rethinking or pondering. All the decisions are yours because you have the power and the authority, right? I'm not saying you must follow me. If you feel it is not fit, if you feel it is not suitable, if you feel it is not feasible, then don't do it. But I'm just throwing out possibilities. Okay, that's it. Okay,
There's
let's go.
questions.
Yeah,
There's questions. Yeah.
yeah.
Is it okay if the question is long? If we sure to design it like that for MCQ, or this is not applicable for MCQ from Cairo Baria. The other Fatiha asked for true false question. If they correctly cross out the incorrect part, should mark also be given for that?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. The marks we can give. Or you can give half, after you do it on your own, you get the, let's say, 5 out of 10. Then you do it in the group, you improve, meaning everybody knows the answer, right? Then you might have 0.5, you know. So it depends. It depends, or even not just the 0.5 mark. It's just maybe some written feedback, detailed written feedback that said, yeah, you got the idea. This is the correct one. Uh, so in other words, whatever extension of my suggestion of my presentation here is always your domain. You have the final say. You do not have to follow in total what I gave. It just there could be some other ways to make it more suitable and relevant to your surrounding or to your student or to your courses. So I'm fine with that. I'm happy with any adjustment. That adjustment is yours to make. Okay. Okay, Dr. Ashraf.
Yep.
Okay, we proceed.
Yes.
What was the last point here? Yeah. If they circle false but don't edit it correctly, they get 0 point. If they circle false but they do not edit it, in other they are not really following the instruction. We want them to cross out the false and tell us what's the truth. If they're able to do the truth, then they get the points. So we are going away from the traditional true and false, or even matching. Okay, next. Time essay. This one I think is a little bit challenging, but we'll try to see how. The evidence. Situated learning theory by Leif and Wenger argues that writing for a teacher, which is an audience of one, is artificial. Yeah. To come to think of it, right? All the students are writing essay. They are writing essay for one lecturer, for one lecturer. But let's say we switch it. Writing for a public audience increases motivation and accuracy. Look, keep the time limit. This simulates real world pressure, but change the genre and change the audience. Instead of write a 5-paragraph essay on climate change, the prompt becomes, you are a policy advisor to Kuala Lumpur Mayor. You have 60 minutes to write a 1-page executive memo summarizing the flood risk and recommending one immediate action. That's the essay. Then, another example. The assessment is an op-ed challenge, right? To the newspaper, to any news outlet. Students have 45 minutes to write an opinion editorial on the current event. Example, because I realized that the issue is flash floods in KL, that must contain 2 citations and be written in a persuasive journalistic tone, which already has been taught beforehand, suitable for a local newspaper. So that's one way of looking at it. Rather than an audience of one, we just switch it to a realistic audience. And if I want to go up one more, let's say you find out that this article or this op-ed is good, then make it happen. Submit it for publication. Submit it to the editor. And once it is published in any local media outlet, they get additional points. That will motivate students. I've done that. I've done that in my class. Publisher from a few publisher came and want to know their work because the publish. See, my story was my class, which is testing and assessment. We go and check the questions in the textbook. Once we check the questions in the textbook, I taught them, the do's and don'ts of item writing. They commented on the mistakes in the books, and then they write a letter to the editor. At the end of the semester, a few editors wrote to me, "We want to meet you and discuss." I showed to my students, "See, your letter to the publisher was taken note. Even the chief editor wanted to meet you guys, but unfortunately, it was at the end of the semester, right? So I can say, sorry, the course is over, but the students have done a good job." In other words, their letter took the attention of the corresponding publisher that published the SPM book or SRP book, whatever book, PMR book. And then they say, "We said your questions are not according to what is stated as good item writing," something like that. So when it becomes like that, it is cool. I need to share another one example. I was attending a conference. There was this professor in Hong Kong. He or she also mentioned about how well the assessment works. The assignment was, the student was asked to find out the location of is decaying in Hong Kong. Find out and check, using whatever the instrument, right? It is like engineering, blah blah. And then they identify all the trees that are like in decay, even though it looks okay, but like there's hole or whatever, termite infested. And then they put it in what do you call it, like internet a screen where they notice all this map. And then eventually they will tell the Hong Kong authorities. The Hong Kong authorities notice that and then cut down those trees that is impacted, which is a potential hazard when storm comes and the tree falls down. This happened in KL, right? Many trees fall down because it was not checked. We, the university student and the teachers and the lecturers, can help the society by identifying all these bedridden trees. Oh, bedridden trees, I don't think there's such word for that. In other words, the trees there is already like infested. Maybe the engineering faculty and the medical faculty can go hand in hand and help out. So to me, when you hear those type of stories, that's the way to really make learning impactful and long life. In other words, the students will learn until they until they die. Okay, short answer. The evidence of transfer of learning. The evidence transfer of learning is the ultimate goal of education. Being able to define osmosis, an example, is a lower order. Being able to compare osmosis to immigration or to traffic demonstrate deep conceptual schema. What's the evidence? By Gettner, structure mapping theory. Again, if you are just asking short answer, right? What is osmosis? That's the definition. The transformation, define X. You don't just do define X. Instead, you say define X, and then the prompt is X is similar or like Y because. So higher order is needed. This forces the student to breach the academic concept with the real world schema. Just like osmosis, right? Osmosis is blah 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 in biology. But osmosis is what to immigration? How people slip through the system, right? How the illegal immigrants become and able to come in, right, from outside, right? The osmosis is just that also, right? From the lower whatever, acidity or alkaline, whatever, and then it will crosses the cell. So in other words, if a student can able to to make analogous argument of osmosis with respect to immigration or with respect to traffic, it shows a high order thinking ability of the student, and it demonstrates how the teacher is able to teach to that extent that the students are well informed and competent to look at analogy. Compare the kidney to a household appliance. Explain two similarities, two limitations. Yeah, kidney is like an household appliance, right? Goes in, goes out. Whatever happened inside, the filtering system, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, I leave it to you guys because you all have your own expertise and your own discipline. For sure, you can do the analogy. For sure, you can think up of, oh, I'm in mathematics. How I want to make an analogy? Oh, I'm in biology. Oh, I'm in chemistry. Or I'm in physics. For sure, you can do the analogy. Okay, so that's short answer. Shifting it towards becoming alternative, even though it's not 100% alternative, but it's something to think about. I'm just here to, I wouldn't say provoke, to just make you aware, like, oh, if some of you say, oh, I have not thought about that. Yeah, I've done my job. Okay, standard bell curve. The evidence is self-determination theory shows that comparing students to peers create anxiety, comparing students to peers creates anxiety. So that's what we do not want, norm reference test. We want criterion reference. We suggest, or I suggest, ipsative assessment. What is ipsative assessment? It compares the student's current performance against their own previous. In other words, is there an increase? Is there a growth? If that's a growth, they are competing against themselves. Just like when you are in the gym, right? Last week, I can only press this much. Last week, I can only lift this much weight. But after a few months, your weight have increased. You feel good. You feel healthy. That's ipsative assessment. It's looking at your prior achievement and track your achievement bit by bit, not comparing to whoever around you. And even in Islam, I'm just sharing whatever I know. I'm not an ustad. In Islam, we are encouraged not to compare. We don't have to look at those who are above us. We don't even have to look at those around us. It's just you and what you have in your mindset to be a better Muslim, and and to achieve whatever that is required of you, right? So in other words, the problem is, sometimes I always discuss with my wife, people are always comparing to other people, and they become sick. They become not satisfied. They become jealous and all those things. Okay, the test remain the same. Example, math fluency test, but the grade is calculated differently. See, the formula of ipsative, the current grade plus any increase in growth. There, example, a student A scores 95, right? It will be a great challenge for him to show ipsative assessment. In other words, if after 1 month, oh, that's, see, I don't know why my current, I'm worried. I'm worried now. Okay, hold on. Sorry guys, my connection was, now it's already it's already solved. The what I'm trying to emphasize is this: for ipsative assessment, if the student is already 90, right, it's hard for them to go higher up to 95, let's say. But if a student is in the beginning is 70, and if you have done well, you have taught well, they have learned well, it's easy for them to see their increment, delta 2% 1 month, another 3% the next month. Eventually, after the semester is over, the delta is about 10%. From 70, he moves up to 80. That's great. But if someone who thinks he's so good, he's 90, to get to 93 is tough for him. So a scenario, student A usually score 95. Today she scores 95. There's no growth. What's happening here? Student B Usually in the beginning, 40. Now, after learning a few months, score 60. The growth is plus 20. Ipsative assessment is looking at that growth. That is a better way of assessing rather than standardized, comparison. Okay. The transformation. The teacher uses growth portfolio. The grade in the grade book is not the raw score, but a mastery score that rewards the plus 20 jump. This validates the effort of the struggling learner and prevent the high flyer learner from coasting or even from bragging, as they must also show growth to get the highest marks. In other words, it's not a competition between A and B. It's a competition with you and how you have learned. So that's this another suggestion. So I think I'm done with that. And to encapsulate everything in one matrix, this is the matrix. From the traditional to the first column towards the alternative, going towards the alternative, suggestion, suggestion. It might not be feasible for all of you or for all these 5, but this is where the validity and the reliability is trying to tell you. From MCQ to the 2-stage collaborative exam, it goes from recognition to argumentation. It has an immediate feedback loop. Why immediate feedback loop? Immediate feedback loop means from just doing it alone, and then the next stage, because there's a 2-stage process now, after you have submitted your 10-item MCQ, you go and meet maybe a partner. You don't have to have 3 or 4. Maybe a partner, discuss. If let's say both of you are really not well versed in that topic, you might not get, after discussion, you might get wrong still, but doesn't matter as long as you are discussing. Reliability, it will be increased in internal consistency. It is social interdependence. In other words, you are not doing your MCQ alone, but the next phase or the next step, you are collaborating with one partner or 2 partners. Fix the false. You are eliminating the guessing factor. You are doing elaborative interrogation in terms of what is actually false, what is actually true. Then it is scoring stability. It's a misconception repair, right? Because usually when you are correct in true and false, you do not know what's the right answer. If you are wrong in a true and false, you never know. Even the lecturer would not have time to really go through your exam again and say what is the correct answer. For this public general simulation, it is a massive increase in ecological validity. It is a situated learning, audience awareness. The trade-off in reliability with authenticity, that's one issue, but it is synthesis over regurgitation. For short answer, it is shift from recall to transfer. It's a schema building. It is subjectivity management. It is creative critical thinking. And finally, for the ipsative assessment, it is shift to consequential validity. In other words, it's the social consequences that we are after. Students feeling that they are in control of their learning and of their improvement or achievement, self-efficacy and motivation, definitely. And in terms of reliability, it provides the longitudinal data density, because if for a 14 weeks, you can track every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks or every month. So you have a 3-month tracking of students initially, the first quiz or the first test, very low 60, and then eventually 65, 70, and then at the end of the semester 70. So they feel good, they can see their track or their tracking, and you also know that this slight change of assessment has increases the outcome. And definitely personalized pacing. Okay. Here a slide. I mean, my last, not say last, my this final few slides, I'm trying to integrate with spirituality or holistic, not necessarily Islamic, but trying to go into the inner self. Assessment as knowing thyself. We can stop and pause, other than after discussing all those things, which is more like more concrete, right? Now we go towards that holistic view of assessment. Who knows, once in a while you can start thinking, yeah, my assessment can really change my student, not just showing that they learn the knowledge, but they become a better Muslim. They know that They know that these are all interconnected with how Allah says your life is a test, right? Your life is a test. Your study in the university is also a test. So beyond the spiritual void, assessment for being versus knowing the core thesis. Assessment is not a transactional audit of facts. It is a transformational tool for identity formation. I know it's not easy, but if you come to think of it, if you be alone, ponder deeply, you can look at it this way. Okay, that's how I look at it. The standardized void, it operates on the query, what do you know? Okay, that's the normal one. That's the traditional one. That's the Western view. What do you know? Then you do your standardized test. You do your MCQ test. And then the function is inventory control. The result is judgment. But if you look at the holistic dimension, we operate on the query, who are you becoming? From start to finish, from the first year in URA until you graduate from URA, who are you becoming? So who knows, if we, even though we have many students, but if we can help change and transform one student, and that one student realize that the whole four years in URA has made them a better person or a better Muslim, with all the teaching and learning that is going on, with all the assignment, with all the tests, then I think we have done a good job. Identity development. Self-knowledge and truth calling. We must move from summative judgment, defining the student by the score, to not formative assessment. Yeah, we are going from summative then to formative. Usually we say formative assessment, summative assessment. That one we know. But now slight change the perspective. We move from summative judgment, which we treat students only by their scores. Only those who score high and get A is like recognized, to formative becoming, using the score to reveal the self. Okay, so that's knowing thyself. The mechanism, how do we go about it? It's via the metacognition. In other words, thinking of thinking, right? How the students are able to reflect. Metacognition as the truth telling. It deals with mindfulness, the practice of truth strategy. Self-assessment is redefined from a pedagogical efficiency to a spiritual practice of honesty. Okay, this is another another suggestion, and I don't know, some of you, I don't know whether you have read about this or you have come across it, but I think this is interesting. I would want to do it too. The technique is this. Let's say for any task, for any essay, or for any project, they are submitting the whole thing, right? Then we say, I want you, based on this metacognition as truth telling, I want you to use the strategy or technique of cognitive wrapper. That is just the buzzword, right? Cognitive wrapper. Then the student, for the first time, the student wouldn't know, but once you explain it, they will understand. Just like the minute paper, just like the Matias point, the cognitive wrapper is this. Before submission, the student must attach a wrapper. A wrapper could be just one page, or one paragraph. It is not, let's say the assignment is 2,000 words, whatever topic, whatever assignment that you have for your course, for your topic. Then you say, I want this semester to include something that would help you be more conscious of what you are doing all this while in that assignment, based on the theory or on the lesson that we've learned. We're going to use a cognitive wrapper. Then the student say, sir, what is the cognitive wrapper? The truth calling prompts. You must write one paragraph. I struggle most with. So let's say there's an assignment, right? Then you add. You just need one paragraph. Write to me before you submit, together with another page, not just the whole page, maybe half page. I struggle most with. So the student will say, So I struggle most with the citation. I struggle most with comparing the two theories which I feel so not satisfied with my answer. I struggle most with this. I struggle. So just a brief one. They must be honest. They must be honest. That's how they know about themselves, right? Even though they have 1 or 2 weeks to prepare for the submission, right? They have discussed with their friends, whatever, the group work. But then at the end, before they submit, they will write one paragraph of how personally they feel what they did, Then and I am proud of. Oh, I am proud of my introduction. I am proud of my 2 examples. I am proud of my conclusion, sir, because my conclusion it relates to real world life example. So that is called a cognitive wrapper. So that's the mechanism. That's how we want to let the student know that they are able using metacognition. That's their quote unquote their truth telling you truth telling you. So for whatever assignment, the assignment is normal. Don't change the assignment, whatever the regulation, whatever the instruction, whatever the requirement. But there is an additional small piece which is called the wrapper. The teacher grades the accuracy of the reflection as highly as the work itself. The work is the work, right? But that's like, maybe you can add the bonus points. And you knowing your student for sure, after like say 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, you know who is really like, like a high achiever, or you know those who are not achieving. Usually those who are not achieving most probably will say, I struggle most with part C, sir, part C. When you say relate this to the Quranic, whatever. So they are honest about it. Because they are honest and you know them, then there could be 1 or 2 additional marks. But if they are just so like nonchalantly, they are just saying nothing, they are not giving any sense in their wrapper, then no marks. Or they are just lazy, they do not want to include, honestly, then there's no marks. Okay. The outcome, you eliminate the height your weakness reflects. You cultivate the ability to view one's own mind objectively. We are training them. Yes, I understand. For some of you say, Dr. Joe, it's not easy to do this. The students are not really cooperative, blah, blah, blah. Again, sorry to say to you, I'll just say, can you try it for a few weeks? If you think that the students are really hesitant, the students do not like it, then just abandon it. We will never know until we try. That's my philosophy. We will never know until we try. And when we try, we are trying our best, right? To make them learn better. We are not just making them stress out. I don't think so. Okay. So, and then finally, the ethical.
I'll just have to read this comment because it might have it appeared or it was posted a few minutes ago and might be related to the previous slide
Okay.
on
Go ahead.
knowing yourself. So
Yeah, go
it's
ahead.
Prof, I just want to clarify. Are you saying that each summative assessment should, if possible, include a reflective component? Is that correct?
Wait. No, not. It depends. It's your choice. It's your choice. It's your choice. I'm not saying you must have reflection in all summative assessment. It depends. If you do not have a reflective assessment, if you do not have reflection in any of your summative, that's fine. But there will be reflection in other continuous or formative assessment. I'm clarifying now. In other words, I do not want unnecessarily to burden our lecturers. I know I was a lecturer like you guys. I started teaching in UI, mind you, 1989, 30 years of service. So it's okay. I mean, you do not have to really follow word by word what I'm trying to say. But what I want you all to understand is this is an opening of avenue for you all to reflect, self-reflect, and then you say, oh, I've been doing this. Maybe I can switch a little bit. Oh, Oh, Dr. Joe says this, but I think for my case, for my subject matter, I don't think it's appropriate. You are the expert. Because you are the expert, I cannot say otherwise, right? If you say, Doctor, for medicine, if it's a summative, we only focus on MCQ. But for the continuous, we do other things. We do other projects, or you know, then I'm fine. I'm fine because I've been there. I done that. I was confronted by the medical faculty many times because they say. Then I agree. I agree. I respect Dr. Joe. Medical assessment is slightly different from the normal assessment. There'll be minus marks, there'll be minus point. Why? Because we are dealing with life. Yeah, I agree with you. Like in psychology, we are not dealing with life and death. But in medicine, you got it wrong, patient will die, right? Something like that. So in other words, it has to be well suited and well administered or well thought of with your own understanding and expertise, and you make the final call. I'm just giving you just the foundation or just the background of how we can switch our traditional assessment to make it slightly better. I wouldn't say throw it out all. No, I do not say don't have exam or do not have multiple choice. No, I'm just saying, can we think a little bit more towards the betterment of those things? So I hope I clarified that, Dr. Ashraf.
Yep. Thank you, Prof.
Okay. The ethical imperative here is trauma-informed assessment, safety through transparency. Safety through transparency. Sometimes when we do exam, we know why we do it, but the students do not know why they have to do the exam. To be measured is to be known. To be mismeasured is to be erased. so, so make sure when we give any test or any quiz, or this is one thing that I think will touch the raw nerve of my colleagues. Spot quiz. The student are like, today got quiz. Oh my God, you're not prepared. Students were not like that. There's no transparency there. You didn't give them the chance to be prepared. You are like I don't know. You are like, yeah, I got the students this time. See? So the architecture of safety, transparency as trust. Yeah, I sometimes always tell my students, some teachers in school, I was a teacher in school, see? I know what happened then in schools. I was a school teacher for 9 years. Some teachers, trick question. You know why you do trick question? This is the time I get my student. In other words, the niyat is wrong. The niyat is, I want my best student to get it wrong. No way, Jose. That's totally wrong. Even in Islam. Right? When you want to give something, you must tell. Tomorrow I'm going to give you a test. Even though it's tomorrow, it's okay. At least you tell them. They have one night to revise. Don't say, and then suddenly when the student answering, this one was not taught. This one was not taught. It's not even taught. The lecturer did not teach us this. Gotcha question. Trick question. You put the question purposely to make it convoluted. These are hidden agendas. And then where's the transparency? Hidden criteria trigger the amygdala. It's fight or flight, shutting down prefrontal cortex. Those of you in psychology, you know that. Even in the Quran, Allah already reminded for those who are not following Islam or following the deen, who are lying, you're going to be dragged by your forelock. So it's true. We have to build trust. Predictability as healing, clear rubrics, clear agenda, clear outcome, create a safe container or a safe bubble for the students. Safety is the biological prerequisite for deep learning and spiritual inquiry. If the students don't feel safe, for sure, they're not going to do well. What's the holistic mandate? Assessment must validate students' existence. I repeat, dear brothers and sisters, your assessment must validate students' existence, not otherwise, not threaten their psychological safety. If an assessment leaves students feeling diminished, rather than being seen. It is legally valid, yes, yes, but it is spiritually invalid. Mark my words for many years to come. Okay. I'm already late. My God. Sorry, you didn't tell me that I'm already running out of time.
We were enjoying, Doctor.
Wait, I'm also, because actually I have a class after this. Okay. Validating the journey. I'm going to go quick. Human values, calibrated judgment, real world impact, pace of growth. These are the 5 takeaways from my presentation. From grading the product to validating the journey. In other words, the latest research shows it is the process. Example, process portfolio. Is that the process chain is the only viable AI defense? In other words, we must go and get towards the process, not the product. In the age of ChatGPT, a flawless final essay or submission prove nothing about student capability. For Malaysian University, the validity of an assessment now relies entirely on process folio. The mandate, educator must stop assessing the destination and start assessing the flight data, which is the draft, the version, the voice reflection. Tools like Block become the new authentication layer. If a student cannot verbally articulate the why behind their written work in 3 minutes or even in 1 minute, the written work is invalid, regardless of its quality. So that's number 1. Number 2, the Sejahtera validity. Standardized testing fails to capture the core aspiration of falsafah pendidikan kebangsaan. Balanced human being. Validity in 2025 and beyond is not just about statistical correlation. It is about consequential validity. Does the assessment build character? Does the assessment build character? The mandate. We must elevate instrument like the SUL or the Musyawarah approach from informal to rigorous assessment. That, I think, is a challenge for all of you. Doesn't matter which kuliah you are from. You need to support what Dr. Zainal is doing all out. I think that's good. The students love it. Malaysian context, university must recognize that assessing conflict resolution and ethics via USRA, via group consensus, is just as valid as assessing cognitive recall. If we do not measure the heart, we are graduating smart robots, not sejahtera citizens. So it's a measure of the soul also. I'm trying to include this. The shift from identical testing to calibrated judgment. We avoid alternative assessment because they are subjective. However, standardization is a lazy proxy for reliability. The mandate to make subjective assessment reliable, we must invest time in calibration workshop, in cross-marking and so on. This is another new one. Use single point rubrics and integrated rubrics. In other words, you do not need to have rubrics that have 4 columns. 4 columns, not well, average, good. You just go for the good. You just go for the good and then comment both sides. If the student go beyond good, explain, describe. If the student do not reach good, just say what is the negative about, or what is the lack of what they have. So in other words, you do not need to be complicated with the 4 or 5 columns of a rubric. You only go for 1 column rubric. All the components and just proficient. Anything that is beyond proficient, that is A for sure, right? Anything below proficient, you have to explain and describe in your feedback. I have to go quickly here. Employers in Malaysia constantly signal a gap between exam smart and a work ready. Traditional exam have low equality validity. They don't look like real work. The mandate assessment must move out of the exam hall. Instruments like Sulam, service learning are superior because the validator is the community, not just the lecturer. Malaysian context, if a student marketing plan actually helps a B40 entrepreneur, that's the ultimate valid measure. The real world is the hardest test to cheat. Finally, norm reference, it's an advantage. It measures privilege as much as ability. Okay, I'm going faster now, and this is it. I think I'm gonna skip this. Then I'm gonna end my slides with some pantun for you guys. I miss the pantun. Taman selasih di tengah laman, pohon meranti tumbuh berdua. Ujian itu bukan hukuman, tetapi cerminan potensi jiwa. Burung kenari terbang ke desa, singgah di dahan mencari makan. Bukan menguji hafalnya masa, tapi mengukur growth insan. Pasang pelita di malam gelita supaya terang jalan ke surau. Jika AI mengarang kata validity, hilang data pun kacau. Kayu jati diukur seni, dibuat mimbar indah berseri. Bukan sekadar skor di sini. Bukti yang sahih, reliability. Pergi ke pekan, membeli gelama. Singgah sebentar membeli kalam. Ilmu dan adab dipupuk bersama. Barulah hidup menjadi sulam. Cantik sungguh bunga kiambang, tumbuh melata di batang kali. Bila holistik jadi penimbang, lahirlah insan sejahtera asli. That's it. Sorry, I have to skip some slides. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joe. We enjoyed, and there's a lot of comments here mentioning that they've tried assessment, and for example, one comment from Dr. Taufik from KOP. I've tried reflective journal assessment through TikTok videos and comic strips. Most students enjoy them immensely. Dr. Shakur mentioned, enjoy your presentation. Hope we can get the slides. Inshallah, we'll provide the slides. And this question, I'm not sure whether you are. Do you still have time, Dr.
Yeah. I can again.
Very short. Dr. Joe, do we still need to follow strictly Bloom's taxonomy verbs in creating assessment? Is this still relevant?
See, Bloom taxonomy has received a lot of flack, so try not to like use it like so strictly. You know, there will be some leeway for you to be a little bit. I've forgotten the name of the other taxonomies. Dr. Shako, can you help me? What's the other taxonomy? Forgot the name. There is competing taxonomy other than Bloom's. Go check it out. I forgot what this author's name. His name is much more. I mean, his taxonomy is not exactly like Bloom's taxonomy, and from literature, from research, it shows that educationists or people who are in education or even in assessment would prefer that other taxonomy than the Bloom's taxonomy.
So I remember, Dr. Joe, you did share some other models with us.
Yeah.
But I also forgot.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. This is just like a revision for all of you and for myself. It has been a long time since I do a training like this to my colleagues in IIUM. So I miss it very much.
Terima kasih dan
Me
Fadil,
too.
Dr. Joe. Ada masa belajar lagi. Excellent. And there's one question. Prof, if the content is included in the LO and stated clearly in the guidebook, is it acceptable to assess student on it even if we didn't manage to cover it in detail during the lecture? Because
Wow.
LO is general as it give or guide student to learn themselves.
Okay. I think this thing has always been asked, several times. My advice is, even though you have no time to cover it, make sure you provide the relevant resources or videos or any slides for the students to read on their own, even though you have no time to cover within the 14 weeks. And then you might say there could be one or two questions coming from that particular linear outcome, even though you have to admit honestly that you couldn't cover it because there are other more important topics. More important topics has precedent over usual or not important topic. But if, let's say, in the LO it says you must cover this less important topic, you just provide them with the necessary resources for their own reading.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, you mentioned understood, Prof. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Joharry bin Othman from RMIT University in Vietnam. We have, I think, Dr. Joharry's take on this topic is very much interesting. Throughout the past 3 years, there has been at least once on alternative assessment. Every speaker covered a few different angles, and Dr. Joe again once provoked us to rethink and relook at how we conduct alternative assessments. And inshallah, we'll share the slides to all who have joined and provided with us your emails. Please complete the feedback form, and then we'll send you the slides. And please check CPD website for the previous year's alternative assessments to complement what Dr. Joe has given. And surely Dr. Joe's session has provided a very interesting take, and which other speakers has not covered, especially with regards to validity and reliability. Once again, Dr. Joe, thank you very much. Yes,
Yeah, I have to add before I leave because I have a class at 10:30.
Yeah.
Actually, here is 10:30. I mean, we are 1 hour different. Just to inform all those who know me, especially from my colleagues in College of Education, I'm returning to Malaysia in February.
Okay.
Yeah, my contract, is done. So, but I'm not, I'm not going back to IUM, but I'm going back to another private university in Malaysia. So see you guys in Malaysia in February.
Yeah, inshallah, then we can have face-to-face session. Thank you once
Yeah,
again.
yeah. Okay.
So, Dr. Joe,
Okay.
usually we have a photo session. Can we have just quick
Yeah,
photo?
yeah. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
please.
okay, okay,
Everyone, I
okay.
welcome everyone to switch on your cameras. Just
Yeah,
one quick, snapshot of one page should be enough. Just to, I'll just unshare your.
yeah. Unshare, unshare.
Okay. Yeah. Replace. Okay. Yeah. Stop sharing. All right. So, okay. Sister Hilda, can you capture? Maybe just the first page is okay. We don't have much time.
Okay, hold on. Okay, all
Else?
open camera. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3 for the first page.
Kita dapat one page cukup. Okay. Thank you very much
Okay,
once again.
okay,
Thank
okay.
you to
Thank you.
all.
I gotta go.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Okay. Okay.
okay. It was a pleasure meeting all of you.
Yes. To us all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, assalamualaikum.
Thank you so
Salam.
much.
Allah.
Let's adjourn with
Good luck.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Assalamualaikum. Okay, we'll leave the session, inshallah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.